You are listening to Fracture, Episode 4. Welcome to Everfall. My tenure at Matrix Labs, my father's company, began immediately. My dad believed in punctuality with religious intensity, so at 9 we were at the office. The office sat on the edge of town in a squat cream building that used to be a stationery shop. The sign out front read, Matrix Labs. Systems and support, with letters faded and chipped. The workdays followed a rhythm, finishing at 6, with a 30-minute lunch break at 1. Most mornings started slow, painfully slow. The first few customers usually arrived clutching laptops their kids had gifted them. They complained about pop-ups, frozen screens, missing icons, or the internet being broken. 9 times out of 10, the problem came down to an accidental airplane mode toggle, or a browser toolbar they didn't remember installing. We fixed them anyway. I smiled, explained things twice, sometimes 3 times, and thanked them for visiting. I didn't even use my powers once, which was a complete let-off. I thought working with my dad meant he'd teach me a thing or two about the power we both inherited. But I never used Fracture. It was a boring existence, truly, and humbling considering days ago I was accepted into the #1 university in the country. Every once in a while things got interesting when customers brought their grandkids in, and they tried to play computer games on the displays, and I ended up chasing them around the shop. But it wasn't enough to make up for the times when there was nothing to fix, and I was sitting at the front desk, bored out of my mind, with Kane. Kane was my dad's business partner and polar opposite. Where my dad was lean and sharp-edged, Kane was round, relaxed, and permanently amused by the world. His massive white moustache dominated his face. "How did you get it to curl at the end?" I asked. "Your moustache." "No clue," he laughed, and twisted them some more. "Just woke up that way. Impressive, huh?" There was always something on them. Today it was soy sauce. We spent most days playing chess on an old wooden board that lived on the front counter, so I saw a lot more moustache than I ever wanted to. "You see this?" Kane said, tapping the board with a sausage-thick finger. "This is what happens when you get greedy." "You say that every time," I replied. "Because every time it's true," he grinned. "Where is your eye for tactics, for deception? You just want to take every piece in front of you." "Well, that's the point of the whole game," I sulked. "No," he smiled, then checked me with his knight. There was no way out. His queen blocked it. "The point is to mate the king. I win." That was the way slow days piled up, and weeks blurred together at the office. I had memorized the hum of the old air conditioning unit on the warm days, and the way the building smelled faintly of dust and burnt coffee. Every paycheck was saved, though skimmed off just enough for gas and the occasional decent meal. Dad disappeared into the back room more and more. The door stayed closed and blinds drawn. He said he was working on a project, but never talked about it or said what it was. Even Kane didn't know what he was working on, and Kane knew almost everything. "Whatever it is," Kane told me once and lowered his voice conspiratorially, "it's either going to make us rich or get us audited." That didn't make me feel better. Sometimes my dad stayed so late that when I rode home with him, it was just the 2 of us, and the moon and stars out on the road. August arrived faster than I expected, and the next thing I knew, I was moving packed boxes from my room to the car. It was the crack of dawn, and the drive to the capital city, Everfall, was 4 hours long. I didn't want Dad to be driving back late at night on his own, so getting up early was my idea. Dad didn't say much, just loaded my stuff in the car with me. Welcome to Everfall. As the city came fully into view, I leaned closer to the glass and took it all in. Tall office towers dominated the skyline. Their glass facades reflected rows of neighboring company buildings and corporate campuses. At major intersections, large screens displayed announcements and advertisements, blending into the steady rhythm of a city built around work and industry. "This place is great," I said. "Everyone is constantly moving." "They don't have the luxury to stop and smell the breeze here," Dad said. "This city is the business hub of the country. Makes you love our small town, huh?" "No," I said, staring out the window at sharply dressed pedestrians skipping to and fro places. "I feel at home." "You don't mean that," Dad argued. Suddenly I remembered who exactly I was talking to. I didn't want him to get the idea that I was never coming back home. "Yeah, you're right," I lied. "No place like home." "Nice try, bozo." He shook his head. "Just remember our deal." I know. I rolled my eyes. "I'll be back during the holidays." The further we drove in, the more obvious the differences between Everfall and Pride County became. There were no empty lots, no abandoned buildings or run-down shops. Everything here was used, repurposed, optimized, and ripe with some sort of magical power. Graffiti tags were layered with illusion magic that made them look like moving 3D images. My dad grew quieter as we passed deeper into the city, then all of a sudden started pointing things out. "That theater," he said, nodded toward a sleek black building with a glowing marquee. "Used to show old action films on Fridays. Cheap seats if you didn't mind sitting up front." He gestured again. "That corner cafe, terrible coffee, great place to people watch." I glanced at him and caught a faint smile tugging at his mouth. He was overcome with nostalgia. "And over there," he said, "well, that's where I once woke up with a killer headache and no memory of how I got there." I turned slowly to look at him. "Were you passed out drunk?" I asked. He winced. "It happened one time," he said. "Uh-huh," I laughed. As we rounded a bend, the skyline shifted and Aetherium rose into view. Even from a distance, it dominated everything. Towers soared higher than any corporate building, their surfaces alive with slow-moving runes. The Institute looked less like a school and more like a city within the city, its presence undeniable. My dad lifted a hand and pointed. "There," he said quietly. "That's it." "Beautiful," I nodded. Eyes locked on the rising shapes ahead, it became harder to sit still. After months of slow days at Matrix Labs, watching Kane smear barbecue sauce into his ridiculous white mustache, seeing the Institute felt all too surreal. The road curved and the campus gates came into view, tall black iron stretched upward, etched with faint blue lines that pulsed softly as the car approached. The lines brightened for a moment, then faded as the gates slid apart without a sound. "We're really doing this," I said. "Looks like it." My dad grunted beside me. Beyond the gates, wide stone paths cut through manicured green spaces, and sleek buildings rose at careful intervals, each one distinct in shape and purpose. It barely resembled a school, but a congregation of modern-day castles. I pointed ahead. Nova Hall should be on the east side. Dad followed my gesture, eyes narrowing. "Nova Hall? That's not the old dorm." They changed it," I lied. "This one's bigger. Keep forgetting I was here a lifetime ago." He shook his head slowly. "Hope it's not too pricey." "I'm sure it's fine," I replied. "Still don't know who your sponsor is, huh?" he asked. "No," I said. "But that's my first goal. Figure out who they are." He snorted. "Maybe some things are best left unknown." That was close. The quicker I can move in and send Dad packing, the better. If he found out about the assassin department thing today, all my time working at his company would have been for nothing. Nova Hall rose above the surrounding buildings, white stone layered with dark glass panels that reflected the sky. It looked more like a high-end apartment complex than student housing. Inside, the lobby was quiet, all polished floors and soft lighting. I checked in, grabbed my keycard, and headed upstairs while my dad followed with some boxes. Room 221 sat near the end of the hall. I swiped the card, pushed the door open and froze. A queen-sized bed sat against one wall, a wide desk faced the window. White walls reflected the afternoon light, and a tall closet stood open beside a private bathroom door. "This is yours?" my dad asked. "Looks like it." We set my things down and went to the car for the rest. It took about 3 trips to move everything. Back downstairs, stood by the car again. My dad cleared his throat. "I can go grab you some stuff," he said. "Pots, pans, the basics." "I saved enough," I said, "from working with you. I want to explore on my own." He studied me for a moment, then nodded. "Fair." We both knew what came next. I stepped forward and hugged him. He hesitated, then hugged me back. "Don't miss me too much, old man," I said. "Same to you," he said. "Try not to mess this up." I grinned. "I can always get blackout drunk." "Try again, smart ass," he snorted. "I mean, I would never get blackout drunk," I said. "Good." He shook his head, got into the car, and drove away without looking back. I stood there until the car disappeared around the curve. Then, almost immediately, a blacked-out Jeep rolled up and stopped a few feet away from me. The doors opened, and a blonde girl stepped out, phone pressed to her ear. She was beautiful. "I'm just arriving now," she said. "It looks kind of small. Our place in the Hamptons is much bigger." She glanced at me as she spoke, eyes lingering for half a second too long. I straightened a little without thinking about it. "Hold on," she said into the phone, and raised one perfectly manicured finger at me like I was a pause button. "I need to give the help my luggage." Before I could react, she shoved her bag toward my chest. I caught it on instinct and stared at her, stunned. What did she mean by help? Did I look a servant to her? "Take it to room 15. She turned away, and paced a step or two as she continued her call. No, I'm serious. I don't know why they'd put me in something this... I didn't let her finish. I stepped up to her, reached out and snatched the phone from her hand. She froze mid-sentence. She'll call you back, I said into the receiver, and then ended the call. Her head snapped toward me. What the hell are you doing? She asked. I handed the phone back and pressed the bag into her arms. Sorry, princess, I said. You carry your own bags here. Her mouth fell open. I smirked, turned and walked away before she could recover. I couldn't believe the arrogance. If this was the standard attitude around here, I was in for a long few years. I wondered if all Aetherium students were like that, raised on money and entitlement, or if I had just gotten unlucky with my first encounter. Induction hall at 3 p.m. I muttered, trying to navigate my way into campus. The place didn't feel like the most powerful school in the country. Students seemed normal. In front of me, a group of them laughed and joked with each other, while a couple others sat on the grass with coffee cups and eyes glued to their phone screens. You'd think the top school in the country would be more ominous and full of dramatic displays of power. Maybe the real stuff happened indoors, or maybe everyone here understood something I didn't yet. I followed the main path toward the central buildings, then stopped when I spotted a tall campus directory near an intersection. The board stood under a metal canopy covered in maps, department markers, and color-coded zones. I stepped closer and studied it. Damn, this place was huge. The campus spread across multiple districts in the city, each labeled by department. Security and enforcement had its own cluster. Arcane engineering sat near the industrial sector. Medical and healing occupied a green zone close to the river. Even botanical magic had its own forested area on the edge of campus. Then I looked for my dorm. Nova Hall. Zone C. The label beside it read, Combat Housing. Assassin Department only. I looked around slowly. Combat Housing. I swallowed. This meant everyone around me, everyone walking past me. The guy jogging with headphones. The group that walked by earlier. All of them belonged to the Assassin Department. I immediately remembered the blonde girl from the blacked-out Jeep that handed me her bag like I worked for her. She too was an assassin student. With confidence like that, she probably had serious power. I immediately felt paranoia. Keep cool, Reagan, I told myself, and relaxed my shoulders. I looked back at the map and searched for the induction hall. The central complex was an 8-minute walk. It was 30 minutes to 3, so I was in no rush. I slipped my phone into my pocket and started toward the central buildings. The further I got, the more students I encountered. They too were on their way to the induction hall. Is that you, Snow? A familiar voice hit me like a thrown rock. I stopped mid-step and turned. Oz walked toward me from across the path, his thick frame cutting through the foot traffic like it didn't exist. For a second, my brain refused to process what I was seeing. Then my stomach dropped. I barely had time to react before he closed the distance. His hand shot out, grabbed the front of my shirt and shoved me backward. My shoulders slammed against a concrete wall hard enough to knock the air out of my lungs. His forearm pressed across my collarbone, pinning me in place. Well, I'll be damned, Oz said. His grin widened. Students nearby slowed. A few stopped outright. Others glanced over once and kept walking. Oz leaned closer, and then I felt it. A heavy pressure radiated from him. It didn't hit like a physical force, it settled over me, like the air itself had thickened. And immediately my chest tightened. Breathing turned shallow, vision swam at the edges, and the space around us felt smaller, narrower, and harder to move in. Subscribe for new episodes. See you next time.